The Raxium smoke tail light and sequential harness combination that we have here today is an extremely popular and easy to install pair of modifications that will deliver an aggressive look along with that modern operation all 94 to 98 Mustangs out there. Now this kit will include a pair of the extremely popular smoke taillights along with Raxium sequential plug and play harness, all for that mid $300 price point. So again, this is a very popular combination on the site and has been for as long as I can remember, specifically for the early SN95 owners out there because it's going to offer two parts that add a slightly more aggressive look through the smoke tails along with that modern functionality. Now the modern functionality that I'm talking about here in this case is brought to you by the sequential harness that is going to sequence your turn signals, your hazards, and your brake lights. And of course, this was originally made famous on some of the older Fords back in the day, before they brought it back in 2010, and it's really been a staple ever since. Now that sequential pattern is made possible thanks to the included Raxium harness here. Obviously you're getting one per taillight, and this guy's actually gonna plug into your factory taillight harness and reuse your factory bulbs. So with that being said, there's no cutting, there's no wiring, there's no need to modify anything here, which in turn should make for a very easy install at the end of the day. Now my only recommendation here, guys, is to just take note of how that factory harness is removed from your factory taillights. Keep that in mind with the new Raxium harness here. They are numbered, but you want to make sure you get those in the right place just so that sequential functionality is going to operate properly. Now obviously the sequential functionality is only half of the equation here with this combo kit, the other half being the smoke taillights also from the gang at Raxium. Now these guys are inspired by the 96 through 98 factory taillights, which in my opinion were the much better looking of the two, right? Especially when we're talking about those dated 94 to 95 style taillights that were with the horizontal bars. Not necessarily my favorite look. I really prefer the vertical lines here or vertical bars of the 96 through 98 options. Now these are certainly going to look good on their own, right? Or when you pair them up with other smoke lighting that you may have installed on your SN95, go for that more consistent look. Now last but not least, guys, these lights have been actually given the DOT stamp of approval despite that nice dark smoked aggressive look, which basically is going to make them legal for use in all 50 states. But now we actually want to shift gears, just show you what the install is all about here, guys. And honestly, this one is very straightforward. So site's going to call it a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, maybe 45 minutes or so to complete from start to finish. Now recommended tools to get everything done include a basic wrench and socket set, along with a corresponding ratchet, small extension, and then finally a flathead screwdriver. To give you a better idea of just how this one will go down, here's an AM customer to walk you through it now.
There are 4 nuts to unscrew in order to get the old tail light out. They're there, 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 and in behind there. And then once the nuts have been removed, we simply pull the taillight housing from the vehicle. Then we remove the bulbs by twisting where they connect to the taillight out. If you're going to be just reusing the same harness, you want to make note of the position that each one is in. If you're using the taillight sequencing kit like I will be, you'll be using a new harness. Then we'll be unplugging our harness. By pulling up on the tab and then pulling this out. From there, we'll be pulling our harness out. This step best achieved by squeezing on the rubber from the inside and pushing it out. Next, we will be removing the bulbs out of our old harness and putting them in our new harness for the sequential kit. Now we can take our new harness and we can insert it through the hole in the body, with the rubber gasket coming up to the hole and then being pressed in until the seam is flush with the body. And there it's flush. And now we can take and plug the end of the connector back in like so. And it clicks and we are good to go. And then we can remove the bulbs from our old harness, plugging them into the new harness. While your harness is out of the new taillight, you want to check to be sure that your lights are working properly. Checking the lights themselves. Checking your signals. And checking your hazards. Once you've checked to be sure that the lights are working properly, you want to go ahead and install them into your taillight. They are labeled by number to show you which one lights up first in the sequence, so you install it in the proper spot. 1 being on the inside, 3 being on the outside. And then once we have that, the lights installed, we can go ahead and put our taillight body up into the body of the car. Then we'll be reinstalling the nuts that we removed earlier back onto the studs from the new taillight housing. And then we go through the same process on the other side of removing the taillight housing. Wiring harness unplugged again at this point. Looks like this one is already loose on the stock wiring harness. So yeah, it's just coming on through. Now, while I was going through the process of this, I did decide to go ahead and get new lights for each of them. So I will not be taking this wiring harness out. Again, if you need to, it's still the same process as the other side. You twist, pop them out. And your wiring harness is free. Just pull your bulb straight out to go into your new wiring harness if you are using the Raxium sequential taillight kit as well. And the new harness going in just like on the other side. Just press it into the hole and then just work it through until the seam in the rubber is through and it's flush with the body. And don't forget to take the connector that you've slid through the hole and push it in back here. And just like with the first set, you want to also check your lights to make sure they're working properly by turning the lights on, checking your turn signal and your hazards. And then once you verify that they are working, it is time to go ahead and install them into the headlight or taillight housing, just like we did on the other side already. Again, they are numbered 1 through 3 to show that they go inside out. Again, with 1 being on the inside, 3 being on the outermost. And once those are all together and secured in the housing, it is time for us to press our taillight housing back in again. And then with that in place, just like on the other side, again, we will place all of our nuts back on. And then we can put our liner back where it was before. And lastly, this plastic piece with our 4 fastening pins. Press right in.
Wrapping this one up, guys, the Raxium smoke tail light and sequential harness combination would be an instant upgrade in both looks and functionality, and you can find your set right here at AmericanMuscle.com.